The void between stars held many secrets, but Captain Sarah Chen never expected to find one that would change humanity's destiny forever. The research vessel Horizon hung in space like a gleaming needle, its sensors probing the mysterious object that had brought them to this remote corner of the galaxy. Analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant Marcus Wong announced, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. The artifact's energy signature is unlike anything in our database. It's alive, in a way. The object before them defied conventional description. A crystalline structure larger than their ship, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to follow patterns just beyond human comprehension. After centuries of space exploration, humanity had finally found proof they weren't alone. Any response to our attempts at communication? Sarah asked, her fingers drumming against the command chair's armrest. The crew had spent weeks studying the artifact, following first contact protocols to the letter. Nothing direct, but Marcus's reply was cut short by a blinding flash of light that filled the bridge. When their vision cleared, the artifact's glow had intensified, and new patterns danced across its surface. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Security Chief Eva Rodriguez's voice carried the edge of military training. Configuration unknown. They're massive, Captain. Sarah watched as the vessels appeared, sleek, organic shapes that made the Horizon look like a child's toy. Their hulls seemed to ripple with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. The Veldari Empire had arrived. Open all frequencies, Sarah ordered, standing from her chair. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth research vessel Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic contact. The response came in perfect English, though no human throat could have produced those harmonics. This is Arkshan Zilvax of the Veldari Empire. You have breached quarantine space and interfered with a Class X restricted artifact. Your presence here violates multiple Imperial edicts. Sarah felt her crew's tension. Humanity had dreamed of first contact, but not like this. We had no knowledge of any restrictions, Arkshan. We're simply explorers, Ho. Your ignorance does not excuse your actions, Zilvax interrupted. The artifact you have disturbed is part of an ancient defense network. Your primitive scans have already begun a cascade that cannot be stopped. You have doomed not only yourselves but countless others. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah's mind raced through options, protocols, anything that might salvage this situation. Perhaps if we work together, we can. There is no cooperation with lesser species who meddle in forces beyond their comprehension, the Archon declared. Your world will serve as an example to others who would ignore Imperial boundaries. The artifact's protocols are clear. Your species has been marked for extinction. Eva's console erupted with warnings. They're charging weapons, Captain. Multiple target locks. Sarah's training took over. Shields up. Begin emergency FTL calculations. We need to warn Earth. She turned to her science officer. Download everything we have on the artifact. Every scrap of data might help us survive what's coming. The Horizon's engines flared to life as the first Veldari shots streaked through space. The human vessel was more agile than its size suggested, dancing between the energy beams that could have torn it apart. FTL spooling up, Marcus reported, his fingers flying over the controls. But they're trying to establish a containment field. If they lock it in place, plot an escape vector through the artifact's energy field, Sarah commanded. Its interference might disrupt their targeting systems. Eva's eyes widened. Captain, that's incredibly dangerous. The radiation alone cooled. More dangerous than facing a fleet that wants us dead. Sarah's voice carried the weight of command. We have to warn Earth. Whatever it takes. The Horizon dove toward the artifact, its hull groaning as alien weapons fire scraped their shields. The crystalline structure's glow intensified as they approached, its pattern spinning faster, almost like it was reaching out to them. Energy spike, Marcus shouted. The artifact is. Reality twisted. The last thing Sarah saw before consciousness faded was the artifact's light enveloping their ship, while behind them, the Velderi fleet opened fire with everything they had. As darkness took her, one thought burned in her mind. Humanity's first contact had just become a race for survival, and the clock was already ticking. Consciousness returned to Sarah like a slow tide, bringing with it a symphony of pain. The bridge of the horizon was bathed in emergency lighting, and the air tasted of burned circuitry. She pulled herself up from the deck, checking her crew. "Status report," she managed, noting with relief that her officers were beginning to stir. Marcus was first to respond, his station sparking but functional. We're alive. Somehow, main power at 40%. The artifact's energy surge created some kind of quantum tunnel. We're back in Earth-controlled space, but... He paused, double-checking his readings. "Captain, we've been out for almost 3 days." 3 days. Sarah moved to Eva's security station. "What's our defensive capability?" Eva's fingers danced across her partially functioning console. "Shields at 15%. Most weapon systems offline. But we're not being pursued. No sign of the Velderi fleet." Sarah allowed herself a moment of relief before reality crashed back in. 3 days. The Velderi had a 3-day head start to prepare whatever extinction-level event they had planned for Earth. "Communications, partially restored," Marcus reported. "But there's something else. The artifact's energy signature. It's changed us somehow. The ship's quantum field is exhibiting patterns I've never seen before. It's like we've been marked." Before Sarah could respond, a new voice cut through the bridge speakers, familiar yet distorted, as if multiple entities were speaking in perfect synchronization. "The marking cannot be removed. It is part of the protocol." The crew froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Sarah straightened in her chair. "Identify yourself. We are an echo of what you would call the precursors. Your interaction with our artifact has initiated ancient safeguards. The marking is merely the first stage." Holographic displays sprang to life around the bridge, showing data streams that hurt to look at directly. Sarah saw star charts, technical readouts, and what appeared to be genetic sequences, all flowing too fast to comprehend. "Your species has demonstrated the capacity for rapid technological advancement," the voice continued. "The artifact was placed to identify and eliminate such potential threats before they could destabilize the galactic order. The Velderi merely serve as custodians." "We're not a threat," Sarah argued. "We're explorers, scientists. We mean no harm to anyone. Intent is irrelevant. The protocol exists because all species claim peaceful intentions until they achieve sufficient power. The marking will spread through your quantum communications network, tagging your entire civilization for removal. The process cannot be stopped." Eva's console suddenly lit up with urgent notifications. "Captain, we're receiving distress calls from across Earth space. Ships are failing. Colonies are going dark. Whatever this marking is, it's spreading like a technological virus." Marcus worked frantically at his station. "The artifact's energy signature is rewriting our quantum fields at the most fundamental level. Any system that connects to a marked ship or facility begins to degrade. At this rate, human civilization will collapse within weeks." Sarah felt the weight of billions of lives pressing down on her shoulders. Her first contact mission had unleashed something that could end humanity. But there had to be a way out. There was always a way. "You said the Velderi are custodians," she addressed the voice. "That implies they didn't create this system. They just enforce it, which means they might not fully understand it either." "Their understanding is sufficient for their purpose," the voice replied, but Sarah detected something new in its harmonics, a slight hesitation. "And yet they needed ships to reach us. They couldn't control the artifact directly." Sarah pressed her advantage. If they were truly meant to be custodians, wouldn't they have been given more direct control? The holographic displays flickered, the data streams slowing momentarily. "Your observation is unexpected. The protocol does not account for such analysis. Because it was designed to trigger automatically, wasn't it?" Sarah stood, facing the nearest hologram, a dead man's switch left by a civilization that feared what might come after them. But fear isn't wisdom, and protocols can be flawed. The voice was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, the harmonics had shifted. You are not proceeding according to expected patterns. This requires adjustment. New data began flowing through the displays. Technical specifications, astronomical coordinates, and what looked like encryption keys. The marking cannot be removed, the voice stated, but its purpose can be altered by one who understands its true nature. The coordinates we have provided lead to a precursor facility. What you do with this information will determine if your species is truly different from those the protocol was designed to stop. The holographic displays winked out, leaving the bridge in relative darkness. Sarah immediately turned to her crew. Marcus, analyze those coordinates. Eva, get me a damage report and begin repairs. We're not dead yet, and I intend to keep it that way. Captain, Eva hesitated. Even if we reach this facility, the Velderi fleet will be hunting us, and we still don't know if we can trust this. Echo. No, we don't, Sarah agreed. But right now, it's the only chance we have. Humanity didn't come this far to be wiped out because some ancient civilization was afraid of what we might become. She accessed the ship's internal communications. All hands, this is the captain. I know you're tired. I know you're scared. But somewhere out there is the key to saving Earth, and we're going to find it. Anyone who wants to evacuate when we reach a friendly port can do so. No judgment. But for those who stay, we're about to make history, one way or another. As her crew threw themselves into their work with renewed purpose, Sarah studied the star chart showing their destination. The Velderi had called humanity a lesser species, but they had forgotten something crucial. Humans were at their most dangerous when backed into a corner, and humanity had never faced a bigger corner than this. The precursor facility hung in space like a twisted dream of geometry, its surfaces reflecting starlight in ways that shouldn't be possible. The horizon approached cautiously, its damaged systems still operating at reduced capacity after their desperate journey through 3 star systems to reach this point. Multiple ships on long-range sensors, Eva reported, her voice tense. Velderi signatures, but something's different about these. Sarah studied the tactical display. The approaching vessels were indeed Velderi in design, but they lacked the pristine appearance of the Imperial fleet. These ships showed signs of modification, their hulls marked with patches and unofficial modifications. We're being hailed, Marcus announced. Text only, encrypted using. Wait, they're using the encryption keys from the precursor data. Put it on screen, Sarah ordered, her mind racing through possibilities. The message appeared in stark letters. Horizon, power down weapons but maintain shields. We are not with the Empire. Like you, we seek truth. You have been marked by the artifact. This makes you valuable. Sarah exchanged looks with her officers. After their journey here, they had learned that the marking was spreading through human space like wildfire. Earth's quantum communications network was failing, colonies were going dark, and the entire civilization was beginning to unravel. They couldn't afford to reject potential allies, even questionable ones. Respond, she commanded. Tell them we're willing to talk. The next hour was a flurry of careful negotiations. The rogue Velderi, it turned out, were scientists and scholars who had spent decades studying the precursor artifacts in secret. Led by a researcher named Kinlith, they had discovered disturbing patterns in their empire's history. Your species is not the first to be marked, Kinlith explained during their first face-to-face meeting in the Horizons conference room. The Velderi scientists' crystalline features caught the light strangely, making their expressions hard to read. We have found evidence of 17 other civilizations that were eliminated after discovering precursor artifacts. The Empire claims to protect order, but they are merely perpetuating a cycle of extinction. Sarah leaned forward. Then why help us? Your people seemed pretty clear about humanity being a lesser species. Because you did something unprecedented, another Veldari scientist, Miravex, interjected. You communicated with the artifact's echo. No other species has managed that. The marking you carry is different from the others we've studied. It's evolving. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. The voice said the marking couldn't be removed, but its purpose could be altered. You think we can change what it does? We believe it's already changing, Kinlith confirmed. Your quantum field modifications are unlike anything we've seen, but the Empire will not allow us to study this phenomenon. They are bound by tradition and fear. The protocol must be followed, regardless of the cost. Eva, who had been quietly monitoring security feeds, spoke up. And what happens to Earth while we're studying phenomena? Our civilization is collapsing. We don't have time for scientific curiosity. That's why we brought you here. Miravex moved to the room's central holographic projector, activating it with a gesture. The precursor facility appeared in detailed relief. This installation isn't just a research center. It's a control node for the entire artifact network. If we can understand how your marking has evolved, we might be able to use it to rewrite the protocol itself. Marcus, who had been analyzing the facility's readings, suddenly straightened. Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures similar to the artifact that marked us. But they're bigger, much bigger. Kinlith's crystalline features shifted in what might have been concern. The facility contains the original template, the source code, you might say, for the entire protocol. But accessing it requires genetic keys from marked species. Until now, no marked species has survived long enough to reach this place. And the Empire? Sarah asked. They have to know about this place. They're coming, Miravex confirmed. We detected a battle fleet entering this sector an hour ago. They'll reach us within 2 days. Whatever we're going to do, it needs to happen before then. Sarah stood, facing the assembled humans and Veldari. Then we better get to work. Humanity's survival depends on understanding what's in that facility. And if we're right about the marking evolving, maybe we can do more than just survive. Maybe we can end this cycle of extinction once and for all. The next 36 hours were a blur of activity. The Rove Veldari shared everything they knew about precursor technology, while the Horizon's crew provided data about their encounter with the artifact. Together, they began to understand how the marking was changing, adapting to human consciousness in ways the protocol had never anticipated. But it was Marcus who made the crucial breakthrough, nearly 2 days into their work. Captain. His excited voice cut through the facility's command center. I've been analyzing the quantum field interactions between our marking and the template. The protocol isn't just identifying threats, it's testing them. And the test isn't about technology or power, it's about understanding. Sarah rushed to his station, followed by Kinlith and Miravex. The displays showed complex patterns of energy and information flow that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. The precursors weren't trying to prevent advanced civilizations from emerging. Marcus continued, his words tumbling out rapidly. They were trying to find ones that could see beyond their own prejudices, species that could recognize patterns, adapt, and most importantly, cooperate with others. A test of consciousness, Kinlith whispered, their crystalline features reflecting the dancing lights of the display. Not of weapons or technology. The protocol wasn't meant to enforce stagnation. It was meant to find worthy successors. Sarah finished. But something went wrong. The Veldari found the artifacts too early, misunderstood their purpose, and instead of continuing the search, they turned it into a tool of control. Before anyone could respond, Eva's voice cut through the command center. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. The Imperial fleet is here. And they're not alone. They'd brought one of the ancient dreadnoughts. Sarah looked at their Veldari allies, seeing her own determination reflected in their alien features. How close are we to accessing the template? Close, Miravex responded. But we'll need time. And that dreadnought will have to go through us first, Sarah finished. She opened a channel to her ship. All hands, battle stations. We're about to find out if humanity really is worthy of the Precursor's legacy, and we're going to show the Empire exactly what a lesser species can do when everything is on the line. The ancient dreadnought emerged from hyperspace like a mountain of metal and malice, its hull marked with symbols that burned the eye. Alongside it, the Imperial fleet spread out in attack formation, their weapons already charging. They're targeting the facility's outer defense grid, Eva reported from her station aboard the Horizon. Multiple strike groups coordinating their approach. Sarah studied the tactical display, noting how the rogue Veldari ships had taken up defensive positions around the Precursor facility. Their allies were outnumbered but fighting smart, using the facility's strange geometry to break up enemy targeting solutions. Status of the template interface, she asked, knowing every second counted. Marcus's voice came through the comm, strain evident in his tone. We're close. The marking is integrating with the facility's systems, but it's like trying to translate a language that operates in 5 dimensions. We need more time. A new voice cut through their communications, imperious, filled with the weight of centuries. This is Grand Admiral Vexthor of the Imperial Fleet. Your interference in matters beyond your comprehension ends now. Surrender the facility and prepare for execution. The protocol must be preserved. Sarah opened a channel. This is Captain Chen. Your protocol is based on a fundamental misunderstanding. The Precursors weren't trying to prevent advancement. They were looking for species worthy of their legacy. Stand down, and we can prove it. Your lies will not save you, Vexthor responded. The dreadnought Eternal Night carries weapons that predate your entire civilization. Its power has ended the aspirations of countless species who thought themselves worthy. You will be no different. The dreadnought's weapon ports began to glow with an inner light that seemed to drink in the stars themselves. Sarah had seen enough. All ships, execute defense pattern Delta. Concentrate fire on their screening vessels. The dreadnought's old, which means it's probably not as maneuverable as their modern ships. The space around the facility erupted into chaos. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes crisscrossed the void as ships engaged in a deadly dance. The Horizon, despite its damage, moved like a predator, its remaining weapons striking with precision. Multiple hits on enemy escorts, Eva reported. But that dreadnought, our weapons aren't even scratching it. Some kind of adaptive shielding we've never seen before. Inside the facility, Marcus and the Veldari scientists worked frantically to unlock the template's secrets. The marking that had threatened to destroy humanity was now their key to survival, its quantum patterns resonating with the ancient systems in ways that defied conventional physics. Wait, Kinlith suddenly called out, their crystalline features reflecting cascading data streams. The marking. It's not just integrating with the template, it's rewriting it. Captain, we need you down here. Sarah hesitated for a split second, looking at the battle raging outside. Eva, you have the con. Keep that dreadnought busy. She rushed from the bridge, making her way through corridors that thrummed with energy from near misses and weapons fire. The facility's central chamber was a cathedral of light and mathematics, holographic displays showing patterns that seemed to reach into other dimensions. Marcus and the Veldari scientists stood at various control interfaces, their movements synchronized as they worked with the alien systems. The marking isn't just a tag for extinction, Marcus explained as Sarah entered. It's a key to understanding the Precursor's true purpose. But it needs a consciousness to guide it. Someone to make the choice. What choice? Sarah demanded, even as another impact shook the facility. Miravex answered, their voice filled with awe. The choice of what comes next. The protocol was never meant to be eternal. It was meant to find those who could transcend it. Your species' marking has evolved because you didn't simply try to fight or flee. You sought to understand, to cooperate, to find a better way. The chamber's displays suddenly shifted, showing a new pattern that made Sarah's mind ache to look at it directly. The voice from the artifact spoke again, but this time it seemed to come from everywhere at once. The test nears completion. The choice approaches. But the old guardians resist, clinging to patterns that have outlived their purpose. Another impact rocked the facility, harder this time. Eva's voice came through the comm. "Captain, the dreadnought's broken through our lines. They're charging their main weapon. Energy readings are off the scale." Sarah looked at the displays, at the pattern that seemed to hold both doom and salvation. "This choice, what exactly are we choosing?" "Everything," Kinlith answered. "The pattern can be rewritten, the protocol transformed, but it requires understanding that would fundamentally change both our civilizations. The Veldari Empire fears this change. They would rather destroy us all than risk their position as guardians." "Capital ships moving into position," Eva reported. "They're going to fire everything they have." Sarah stood before the central interface, where the pattern pulsed with possibility. The precursors weren't looking for someone to preserve their legacy, she realized. They were looking for someone to transcend it, to prove that cooperation is stronger than fear. She placed her hand on the interface. The marking within her resonated with the ancient systems, and for a moment, she understood. The pattern wasn't just mathematics or physics. It was a bridge between consciousness and reality itself. "All ships, fall back to the facility," she ordered. "Everyone inside the quantum field perimeter. Now." The dreadnought's main weapon reached full charge, its light drowning out the stars themselves. But in that moment, as Sarah made her choice, the marking that had threatened to destroy humanity became something else entirely. The pattern shifted, reality rippled, and the very fabric of space began to change around them. The last thing she heard before everything transformed was Grand Admiral Vexthor's voice, filled with a terror that transcended species. "By the first light, what have you done?" Reality reasserted itself like waves settling after a storm. The facility, the ships, the stars themselves seemed to pulse with new awareness. Sarah opened her eyes to find the command chamber transformed. The pattern she had touched now filled the space around them, not as mere holographic displays, but as an integral part of reality itself. "Status report," she managed, her voice carrying strange harmonics that hadn't been there before. "The dreadnought. Everything. It's all just stopped." Eva's voice came through, filled with wonder. "The Imperial fleet is frozen in some kind of quantum stasis field, but our ships, the rogue Veldari vessels, we're all somehow connected." Marcus worked at his station, his movements leaving trails of light in the air. "The marking is spread to everything within the facility's range, but it's different now. It's not destroying systems, it's upgrading them, enhancing them. We're seeing technology that shouldn't be possible." Kinlith approached Sarah, their crystalline form now shimming with internal light. "You did it. You understood what the precursors truly wanted. Not guardians to preserve their past, but inheritors to create a new future." Through the facility's vast windows, Sarah watched as space itself seemed to ripple with new possibilities. The pattern she had activated wasn't just a weapon or a test. It was a key to understanding reality at a fundamental level. The marking that had threatened to destroy humanity had become a bridge to something greater. "Captain," Eva's voice carried urgency. "The stasis field around the Imperial fleet is weakening. They're coming back online." Sarah nodded. "Open a channel to all ships. Let them see what they've been fighting against all this time." The communications array hummed with new power. On every ship, in every system touched by the marking, crews watched as the pattern revealed itself. The truth the precursors had hidden within their protocol became clear, not through words, but through direct understanding. Grand Admiral Vexthor's voice came through, transformed by shock. "Impossible. All this time, we were meant to evolve beyond the protocol, not enforce it eternally. We became exactly what the precursors hoped to prevent, being so afraid of change that we would destroy others to maintain our position." "It's not too late," Sarah responded, feeling the connection between all present. "The pattern shows us a path forward, not through dominance or fear, but through cooperation and growth. Your people weren't wrong to guard the precursor legacy. You just didn't understand what that legacy truly was. Through the quantum network that now connected them, Sarah could sense the impact of the transformation spreading. On Earth, the marking that had been destroying their civilization was changing, enhancing their technology and understanding rather than degrading it. Across Velderi space, ancient systems were awakening with new purpose. Miravex's voice carried through the chamber. The pattern is stabilizing. The quantum field modifications are permanent. We've done more than just stop the protocol. We've fulfilled its true purpose. Sarah watched as the Imperial fleet's weapons powered down, their crews coming to terms with the new reality. The pattern had shown them all a glimpse of what was possible when species worked together instead of fearing each other. Your ship, Vexthor spoke again, humility replacing imperial arrogance. The horizon. You named it well. We stand at the dawn of something new, something none of us could have achieved alone. The next few hours were a blur of activity as both human and Velderi crews worked to understand their transformed technologies. The pattern had changed them all, not by overriding what they were, but by showing them what they could become. Reports coming in from Earth, Marcus announced, joy evident in his voice. The marking's transformation is complete. Our quantum networks are operating at levels we never thought possible, and the Velderi scientists' data shows similar changes throughout their space. Sarah stood at the facility's main viewport, watching as human and Velderi ships began working together to study the changes. The ancient dreadnought, once a symbol of extinction, was being repurposed as a research vessel to understand their new capabilities. What happens now? Eva asked, joining her at the viewport. We've basically rewritten the rules of interstellar civilization. Now, Sarah smiled. We do what humanity has always done. We explore. We learn. We grow. But this time, we're not alone. The precursors didn't want us to inherit their power. They wanted us to discover our own, through cooperation and understanding rather than fear and domination. Through the quantum network, she could sense the changes rippling out across space. Other species that had been marked would find their death sentence transformed into an opportunity for advancement. The cycle of extinction had been broken, replaced by something far more powerful, the potential for infinite growth through cooperation. Captain, Marcus called out, excitement in his voice. We're detecting new signals. The pattern, it's revealing other precursor facilities, and there are other species out there, ones we never knew about, already beginning their own transformations. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of the future settling on her shoulders, not as a burden, but as an opportunity. Send word to Earth and the Velderi Empire. The real work begins now. It's time to help others understand what we've learned, that the greatest achievements don't come from standing alone, but from standing together. As the Horizon prepared to embark on its new mission, Sarah thought about the long journey that had brought them here. What had started as a simple research mission had become something far more. Proof that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or determination, but its ability to reach out across the stars and forge connections that transcended fear itself. The pattern pulsed around them, a constant reminder that the universe was far more wonderful and strange than anyone had imagined. And now, together, they would explore it all.